There it is. All right. Still going? Okay, here we are. So, welcome. Are we on the dance floor? Yes, we are. Are we having a pizza party? Could do that too. Bam. Pizza party it is. Engaged. There's the pizza. All right. So, first time new setup. Hope everything's okay. No dancing this time. Have a little chat. Talk about my book. Reminisce. How did it all get started? How did it all get started? Starts with an idea, some inspiration. One of those key pieces of inspiration, well, it's right in front of you. There it is, Final Fantasy 6. At least my favorite parts of it. That's only a small piece of the puzzle. It's not, I had no intention of just making exactly the same thing. No, I wanted to make my thing, my book. I really had the ambition when I decided, okay, I'm going to try and write a novel. Something, bigger than anything else I've written. And I've written lots of little stuff before this, so I had my hand at putting a narrative structure together or adding different ideas with poetics, or, the theatrical side. Writing little songs? Yeah, why not? Just curious about writing and ideas. And all that. But how does the dream go from, okay, well, I'm gonna think about an idea, I've got an idea for a book, to take it to the next level, right? Work on a structure, put it together. All the different elements. You need a vision. Well, yeah, my vision, believe it or not, it was built on sort of a few things aside from Final Fantasy 6. My excellent memories of playing it and enjoying it, talking about it with friends. There's many other things. But really, how did I go from never imagining I would write a novel to writing a novel? Well, first it started with writing a play. A little one-act play with some friends. I mean, I wrote it, but we put it together. And, yeah. That started from a smaller idea, and really, if there was one thing that got the ball rolling for that, well, it was the Dr. Horrible sing-along blog. As crazy as that sounds, how do you go from that to a fairy tale novel? Well, it's more just the feeling of the Dr. Horrible, the fun, and I guess part of it is that philosophy of just using what you got, using what you know, and putting it together. Make your own art. So yeah, my novel started from one of the plays that's in the novel, and that was inspired, in part, by Neil Patrick Harris and Felicia Day and who's that? Nathan Fillion. Their silly little production put together during the writer's strike. So yeah, that was a long time ago. And I built it with no ambition of going beyond. Just putting together a small play and just for fun, and then somehow circumstances became such that, hey, I was able to get some people interested in putting it together. And yeah, our production, we wrote our music for it. You know, I was playing bass guitar, I was doing all the bass parts, and everyone was building their own spot within it. And wow, it was quite a fun, positive experience. And you know, playing those characters on stage. And which character is that? Well, that's from the play in my novel, +2 versus Ogres. I think now's as good as time as any. Have a look. In my book, you'll notice that I took extreme care with the table of contents. Make it easy. Break it down. Take the book you've read so far. You know exactly where you were from the titles of the chapters. At least that's my hope. That was one of my goals, part of the vision. That's one thing that I really wanted to do. It's really important to me. So, there we go. +2 versus Ogres, page 134. Good. Ah, yes, and there's a little bit of an intro here. When Queen Cannell and Sir Duncan were bringing one year's cake and theatre festival to a close, there was a clash. Yes, a battle, so mighty and awesome as to deserve eternal remembrance. In honor of those that died, the festival was extended. In the following days, 3 plays in particular were presented for the first time. A tribute to be repeated each year from then on without fail. And I had the privilege to witness the final productions, to include the royal family as part of the cast of actors, in some of the roles based on their deeds. Here's what I saw that night. Act 1, +2 versus Ogres. When I saw this production, I was seated in the far leftmost part of the audience. The energy of the crowd was bubbling with gossip and giggles as the light of the theater's house lamps dimmed and the show began. The downstage curtains drew open to reveal a few musicians lurking in the shadows, not wholly playing together. Upstage, that is, at the back of the stage, there were not the usual decorations or scenic paintings used in most productions. Instead, another curtain masked the area backstage. I later would realize the scene changes were done almost entirely with a mastery of light projection and musical cues. My attention was drawn to the bard character as he stepped into the light of center stage. He began to play his guitar, only to discover, most embarrassingly, that his instrument is not in tune. Nice. Nice, nice. Yeah. So it all started with some of that crazy theater fun. And then what happened? Well, then I wrote the next part. And I wrote basically the Act 2, Act 3. We produced the show only as Act 1. That was the plan, just a one-act play, still, 45 minutes. Nothing to scoff at. A lot of fun. And we did get a few people in the audience, so it was pretty sweet, considering we were competing with a huge festival, which that's bad luck, right? But yeah, I didn't even know about that when we had our dates. So win some, you lose some. That didn't take away from the good memories, right? Laugh about it now, whatever. We did film it. I never released it because I didn't edit, and I don't know. Just never released it. I got it. I got it in storage. Maybe someday it'll see the light of day. I mean, I'm really proud of it. Amazing team. Amazing fun. Huh. Well, anyway. Yeah, so while we were putting together +2 versus Ogres, I was already, while we were putting together that first one, I was already writing Act 2. And then I got into it, wrote Act 3, and when I started telling my friends, hey, oh man, I got more. No, you can't extend it. No, that was never the plan. It was never the plan to make the full production. No, I knew that would have been too much. It was too ambitious. Especially to throw scenes at people in the middle of it. Okay, and now we are going to add 2 more acts. No, it's too much. I mean, yeah, it's just amateur fun, right? Just for fun. Can't go too far. Really grateful. Had friends help me out. Yeah. So then after I had Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 all written, and I had really fallen in love with it, more than I expected. And I started to imagine more of the world, more of the characters, what they could be, who they were. And then I started to get the idea that, yeah, maybe there could be a novel here. Maybe there could be something really cool. But I had some goals. I had some challenges. I had other parts of my vision. And one of those things was I wanted to play in the book. I wanted to make it so that anybody, within reason, pick up the novel, get into the story, have it certain, compartmentalized into pieces, very digestible, able to pick it up, put it down anytime. That was really something I was hoping to achieve, something I really wanted. Oh, I could have been healing with those guys. Oops. And yeah, and to make it so that you could have someone see, all right, we've got a couple plays, the format, we've got this change in format, not just in tone. And Vix is down. Whoops. Yeah, and not have it too jarring to be like, okay, almost an intro to reading plays, because that's something that I love to do. I love to read. I love novels. Love biographies and historical stuff, and love to read. Kind of all kinds of topics and genres. Sure, I'm down. But what have I read more of than books, which sounds silly, is plays. I read so many plays. Studied theater, so, and I just once I got into reading plays, I really loved the format. Loved it. But it takes practice. So, yeah. Just thinking to myself, could I work that in? Could I do it? Yeah, and that's when it started to get to become a bit of an ambitious project. Okay, the challenge. Can you introduce people to reading the text of a play and making it enjoyable and light and fun? Maybe. I think I did it with my book, among other things. Yeah. So yeah, started with the play, then on to my first draft of the book. Oh my goodness, my first draft of the book. That was also part of it. I didn't just want to write the book. I wanted to see if I could come up with a method so that, hey, when I have an idea for a second book, where do I start? How do I do it? Learning how to break it down, make a plan. Yeah. So part of my plan was make the skeleton of the story. Imagine I want to write. Yeah, I wanted to write my novel in the shortest possible way. The fewest number of words. That was the idea. How can you write your story in the fewest number of words? Exactly. That was it. That's what I was trying to do. With the first draft, at least. And, yeah, beautiful thing. Still got it. And it's just covered with doodles. That's, yeah. That's really nice. But man, that one was so far from what it became. Really rough. But it did set down the bare bones, the guide. And I used that to build and build and build, construct, develop. And I didn't have everything at the beginning. I didn't have the whole world, the ideas of the continent, the different kingdoms. Just the idea of one small part from the plays. And a lot of the writing was, exploring, building, breaking it down. Getting the chapters from before into something that could be a book. Have certain weight to each segment, each chapter. And then, then it was a matter of getting the weight. Did I say weight already? evening it out, not having one chapter be totally dominating, to not having each part be way too long or too short, to try and get it so that everything's the right length, the length it needs to be, takes the time it needs to take, it says what it needs to say, it reveals or gives perspective. And each chapter has its place. And yeah. So that was one of the other goals. My ambitious vision. And I had more. Oh yeah. Another part of the vision that I really wanted to do was make it so that every chapter, within reason, could be read on its own. You could take it out of context of the book, just take one chapter, just like with one act of the play, it works on its own. You know? If you had just +2 versus ogres, of course it works on its own. That's where I started. It was its own thing. But I wanted to be able to step back at every point throughout the writing process, especially at the end, and say, all right, I could read just chapter 7. That's all I need. The Unforgettable Saga of Sir Duncan. Excellent example. Chapter 7. The Unforgettable Saga of Sir Duncan. And, there's a reason why it's called that. Why they all have these funny names. I tried to put a little extra touch, Take care with each moment, each choice. Now, is the book perfect? Of course not. First novel. A learning process, right? Making a lot of mistakes along the way. But that's good. So I got better. Got practice in. Yeah. So I think I accomplished that, really. And yeah, let's talk about the Unforgettable Saga of Sir Duncan. Now, there's something where I really wanted to stand out, and like I'd said with the length of each chapter, I wanted it to be noticeably shorter than all the other chapters. There are some exemptions, of course, because I've got the introduction, the prologue segment, and I've got an appendix segment, just kind of clues to mysteries and different things, and it's a bit more context, a bit more world building, tells you a bit more about the narrator of the story. And so when you look at chapter 7, The Unforgettable Saga of Sir Duncan, you see how it's shorter. Well, part of that is to play into the idea that it's easier to be unforgettable if it's short, If it's short and sweet, there's less elements, it's a bit more basic, it's a bit more of a classic hero's journey, really. It's very much a classic. I mean, you could take just The Unforgettable Saga of Sir Duncan, and you could write that one chapter, turn that into a whole novel. I mean, I could. That wasn't the goal. That's because I want there to be a certain scale, a scope of events. I want it to be big. I wanted to go from that generational gap from one to another. And, yeah. I wanted there to be the passage of time to make it epic. To take the fairy tale and make it epic, I wanted there to be that you've got characters who are kids at the beginning. They grow up. They have their own kids. Those kids are in the story. And lo and behold, I didn't know it when I started this. It wasn't really an inspiration for me, but I later found out several years into writing. Way into it. I mean, much later I found out that there was already a really sweet story and game that was playing off that. And that was Dragon Quest V, Hand of the Heavenly Bride. Oh my goodness. When that fell into my lap, that I was taken aback. I didn't know how much I mean, of course I didn't know. I didn't know the story, but I didn't expect there would be something quite similar with that part of the vision, that ambition in the story. Do that multi-generational. I mean, of course, there's lots of multi-generational stories out there, but one that was really close to mine. And well, you know, did it before me, but whatever, I was ignorant to that. So, you know, I had to check it out. I had to get it, had to play it, had to find out more. And in the end, well, no, it's not that close, but still, I thought, wow, the structure, there's some similarities. Someone else, you know, I'm not the only one that was thinking like that. So I'd say, yeah, there's a bit of that in my book. If you're a fan of Dragon Quest V, Hand of the Heavenly Bride, you may say, oh, wow, that's neat. Draw some parallels with my book if you ever hear the story, read it, or whatever. But they're coincidental, really. If anything, by playing Dragon Quest V, I tried to make it a bit different, you know, to keep it my own. And, yeah. You know, it's almost happenstance that I just stumbled upon someone's Let's Play. And really, I wasn't that into Dragon Quest for much before then, but that's the one that brought me around. It said, all right, let's do it. Let's get into it. Let's see what these are all about. And now I'm a fan. Definitely. And, you know, that got me looking deeper into the other ones, looking at their structure and how they tell stories. Just trying to digest the whole what's been explored before, what people have written and done before, you know. Can't read everything, can't know everything, but all right. It was another source of creative comparison, or positive one. Yeah. So, what else we got? Ah, yes, one of my other ambitions. I really wanted to include not just the theater, but other formats, other little tidbits like songs, like poetry. I wanted to put in things like a recipe. I wanted to get things like the labels of a wine bottle or something like that. And so, you know, I worked those little things in there because I wanted to build the world with precise feelings, precise little nuggets of perspective. I want to have it change up a little bit here and there, and not get sluggish. I mean, maybe it does for someone. It's always possible. But that's what I'm talking about, ambition, right? Big ambitions. And of course, the craziest ambition, well, not the craziest. One big ambition for me. Oh my, locks down. Whoops. Okay, is this gonna be a wipe? Yeah, one of my ambitions, one of the things I really wanted to do was oops. No, that's not too bad. Can we get another one in? Saved him. Maybe I should have taken Mog. Don't we usually take Mog here? Go all out, guys! Alright, one of my ambitions. One of the things I wanted to do with my book was write a book for me. One that I would love, that I would want to read over and over. Because, man, I knew it was going to take time. I knew. You know, I wanted to write the book that I wanted to read. I had a vision of a book I wanted to be with certain elements, with certain themes, with certain stuff that I love, all remixed and mishmashed and reimagined, replayed, all in there. And, you know, start from there. I wanted to be one that I could just be a story that I'd never get tired of. That's pretty ambitious, and that's, yeah. And so far, so good. And even beyond that, I mean, I can't wait. Can't wait to work on more, to get more in on the second book. Oh my goodness. Because I've had ideas for it for a long time, lots of notes, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, so what else? Another big inspiration for my book was a trilogy of novels by Dale Furutani. Oh my goodness. Dale Furutani has these samurai novels. Samurai mystery novels. What have we got? Death at the Crossroads. Changed my life. Jade Palace Vendetta. Amazing. And I guess it's an adaptation, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And Kill the Shogun. That's the third one. Oh my goodness. And I think there is or there will be all three released together soon-ish, maybe, or has been. Anyway. And yeah, so okay, well, if that's a big inspiration, then why isn't your story very much of a mystery? Well, there is a mystery and secret worked into it. Oh yes, for sure. But I wasn't setting out to write a big mystery series, no. But what is in those novels by Dale Furutani that really impressed me was that play, that to get you into the world, he's using Japanese. Whenever a character gets insulted with fool, they always yell, "Baka! Fool!" Give you the Japanese first and then the English. And that really made a big impression on me when I was reading it and just thinking about things, just using that bilingualism, using other languages to get a sound that maybe you're doing it wrong, but in your mind you start to construct something. You know, there's room for the reader there, more room than it starts using another part of the brain, starts waking up different parts of the imagination. I want to try and do that too. So I tried to work in some of that, work in some different languages, some play on things and phrases and made up words I thought were cool. Because they just, seemed like they fit. You could see part of where it's coming from and say, okay, that kind of makes sense. Maybe that is a word. Yeah. Right, so that's only part of the Dale for Rutani experience, really, because another thing with the Death of the Crossroads, I mean, it's true to the whole trilogy, Jade Palace Vandana, Kill the Shogun, is that each chapter starts with a haiku. There's a poem. You got a chapter and then a haiku. And I thought, okay, that's kind of neat. That's novel. That's fun. When I read it, and then, a few chapters into the book, I started to realize, wait a second. He put a lot of thought into these haikus. And I don't know if that's your experience, if you've read any of these stories, but at least for me, I started to realize, okay, chapter begins, I've got a haiku, I've got a little poem, there's an emotion, there's an idea there playing in my imagination. I read through the chapter, it's kind of in the back of my mind. And what happens at the end of the chapter? I started going back and looking at that haiku, reading it again. And it has new meaning. And now this little haiku, this little poem, super small format, it's got two meanings. It's got two things, and it's changed. It's been filtered by the story. And that really was a big part of how I wanted to build my style. And, didn't dare do exactly the same thing. Man, I was too impressed. But what I did want to do was I wanted to play with perspective. That was one of my ambitions, one of my goals. I wanted to say, okay, part of the story is true to the person telling it, and they're telling it to the best of their ability. But there's nuance. There's a lot going on in there. And I wanted the readers to be aware of that. Hopefully I set it up. I think I did, I wanted to set it up in the intro pretty clear that you got to take everything with a little grain of salt. You need to think about some of this stuff. I mean, you don't have to. The whole story's there. There's nothing missing. But if you want to dig deep into it, there's room for you. There's room for the reader. I really wanted there to be room for the reader to make up their own mind about what's going on, or have room to imagine things behind the scenes, and just get into that whole it's a big world, that there's more out there. Excuse me. Thank you. All right. So, what else is there to ponder, to discuss? Other ambitions? What I want my book to be, and I think I accomplished all these things. Well, that's what I toiled to do. Try and get it all in there. Sabina, why save it? And yeah, I wanted the reader to have their spot, just like taking some of that theater philosophy and having room for the audience. You're putting on a play, but it's not in a vacuum. It's like they say, history isn't in a vacuum. The story is not totally in a vacuum. It's not locked up, sealed tight. There's room for play. And then, playing with all kinds of ideas. Myself, I want there to be a bit of, well, you don't know everything. You can't know everything. At least the characters can't. They're writing, they're telling their stories. Some of it's from their own perspective. Some of it's from someone else's, and you're playing with all these different perspectives, and then filtered by another person, and filtered this way and there, and different chapters are filtered in a little different way because they're associated with that character. So a chapter with pirates, it's gonna, be there's more pirate stuff going on, that's for sure. That's what it's about. It's gonna have that take on it. It's gonna put value on certain things and disregard for other things. Whereas another chapter about being a king or leading an army. It's gonna approach things very differently. And where there's time spent, I guess, the focus of the character, the focus of the story, shifts a bit with each chapter, so you have a different tone, but somehow there's the thread that's going through all the way, and that's the filter of that narrator. That's why I needed that narrator at the beginning, filtering telling the truth the best they can. I mean, they have their own interests, and that's influencing it. And that's also part of the fun, that once I decided I was going to do that, I said, oh, okay, this is great. I had to give that character some backbone, something. They're telling the story for a reason. There's stuff they believe in. They want you to get on board with them. And maybe you'll read it and you say, whoa, I don't like you at all. But at least get some laughs. But so there's someone else. They're not alone. They're not in the vacuum. There's another narrator out there. A chronicler, as I put it. There's another chronicler out there, and what are they doing? They're writing stories their way. But we're not getting their perspective this time, really. Yes. Sorry. No. But we are getting the criticisms from our chronicler thrown on them. Yeah, so we've got story told from one perspective, and there's that voice making digs at their rival along the way, taking shots. Ah, yes. Taking shots like Pierre Corneille letters, open letters of Pierre Corneille versus l'Académie Française. Why? I don't know. Just that polite taking digs out in the open in their work, insulting their rivals. Stuff that really happened. I thought I couldn't resist. Once that idea was in there, I thought could work, and I think I got it to work pretty well. And then, boom. Where do you go for a second novel after the first one? Where do you go? Oh, well, for me, it's very clear. Rival writes a second novel, and that's we're in the same world, same sort of time era period. Not the same story, parallel stories, characters crossing, because there's so many characters in the first book. You'll spend time with them, but they go off and do other things while you're spending time with that character again. And that's where we're bringing it back to Dragon Quest. Boom. Dragon Quest 4. After a little Dragon Quest 5, what happens? Well, I got myself into a little Dragon Quest 4, and what did I notice? Playing with that perspective. You're joining a character, they're going off on an adventure, and then what happens? While you're doing a different character, you hear about them. You cross their path. But you don't join up right away. That's not till the end. And that's where Dragon Quest 4 kind of got me thinking, okay. At the end you get everyone together. And it's not just that, there's lots of other things. And I was thinking of that while I was making my RPG Maker Fez on the 3DS, yes. While I was on the bus to work and bussing home, I was working on an RPG Maker game set in the world of my book before my book was completely finished. And while doing that, I realized that, man, I started to get an even better understanding of the world, because now I'm playing more already with my RPG Maker game. The Lantern Key is way more in tune with the rival. It's not the rival. I mean, it's in tune with the perspective of the rival, not the perspective of the narrator from Crown, Heart, and Sword. So that gets me thinking that, yeah, all right, where does this fit in the story? Where does that? I'm placing it. I'm just having a ball making this, playing different parts and just really enjoying exploring the world. as I'm building this RPG Maker game, and you know, making new characters, bringing back characters from the book, but not too much, just a little bit, you know, cameo style, and MAGIC. Magic. Excuse me. Yeah, so Lantern Key. Doing that, if I hadn't done that, it's crazy, but if I hadn't done that, I may never have realized, okay, my novel needs that extra chapter. It's actually missing a chapter, which is crazy now to think that it almost wasn't in there. Chapter 14, Reunion in the Dark World. Chapter 14, Reunion in the Dark World. Oh my goodness. Getting the band back together, having a good old time. Not everyone's there. Not everyone's there. There's a bunch of people. You know, a bunch of the main interests from the chapters before. They're getting together, and they're bringing a real conclusion, a much stronger conclusion than the end of chapter 13, which I love the conclusion of chapter 13. But once I had the idea for chapter 14, just started, you know, building and building, snowballing the different possibilities. And when that was done, that's when I knew, okay, polish. This is close. This is a novel. We got something going on. It's that's when I knew, okay, I'm not totally lost out here. I'm not doubting all my ambitions, all my plans. It's starting to really work, to come together. And is it perfect? I tried. But it'll never be perfect. And once I came to accept that, keep working at it, and I got it. And then one day I did get it. And that's Crown, Heart, and Sword by Alex Janer. That's me. Yeah. It's a wonderful thing. So now it's in a pocketbook paperback novel form. And it's print to order, so that's cool. Means you can't just go and pick it up at the store. But it actually, depending on where you are, it's made pretty fast. It's not continent locked, so it's not like you gotta order it from the States every time. You gotta order it from, Canada. Who knows? I could have ended up the Canadian publisher. That's certainly, I have acquaintances, friends, people I know who they found publishers that way. I didn't. Anyway, by that point, I didn't have the patience. I said, gonna learn how to get the format right. Hey, that's a whole other job. That's a whole other thing to learn. And, you know, all along the way, I'm getting editing help from friends. I'm sending them just chapters, getting their feedback. And that actually worked out way better than I anticipated. Oh my goodness, that was really helpful. And I got a lot of help from my friends that way, that's for sure. Holy moly. Particularly my aunt. Well, I can't say just her, but she had a very strong opinion. She was one of the first and had a very strong opinion at the start. And that, it was cool because she was one of the first people I sent stuff to. In the mail, snail mail style. And yeah, so when I finally got a response, right? I had already made a whole bunch of changes, and all the stuff she said, all of her advice was exactly in the direction of the changes that I was making. So that gave me a lot of confidence. That gave me a lot of confidence. Oh my goodness. I said, okay, keep at it, keep going. Yeah. And yeah. That's a big part of it. Whenever you're making something, you got that doubt, you're not sure where to go next, and then other times, all right, the vision is working. Continue. Don't give up. Yeah. So yeah, my aunt had a big influence on the direction from an early stage, and you know, other people in my family helped me out all along the way, and lots of friends, their feedback on different chapters, and a couple friends who, near the end, got the whole shebang. And yeah, getting the whole shebang without chapter 14, ooh, spicy. Spicy. Because I know they've got it now. The final cut with chapter 14. And oh boy, I hope they like it, because man, I love that chapter. Chapter 13's got conclusion, without a doubt. At least that's my opinion. But man, I tried to put in that big payoff. Lots of payoff. So, I hope it's there for you too. Why aren't I using tools on Edgar? Please! So yeah, I think that's about all that I really want to talk about with my book. Today, at least. Here at the pizza party. Yeah. So that's cool. Seen some viewers popping in and out. That's very friendly. Yep. Actually, there's one thing. Maybe I'm just going to do this over and over and say, there's one more thing. No, but there is another big influence. And without a doubt, fairy tales themselves. Just fairy tales, not necessarily with morals or anything, but fairy tales with some really extreme moments. And, you know, it's a fairy tale. You're gonna get that happy ending, right? I didn't want to go too dark, you know. Get into it, you know. Get the stakes up, raise the stakes. Make things light and humorous as well. You know, get that mix in there. So yeah, the fairy tale princess. Some like a Disney princess vibe, that's in there. Oh yeah. Final Fantasy VI meets Beauty and the Beast. Not exactly that, but there we go. I've got sprint shoes. That's definitely part of it. That's one of my goals, my ambitions for the novel. Any other freebies here? There's a whole bunch over there. Can we get to the big fight in Mount Cults? I'm sure we can. If we get all the freebies. Who goes here? Just doing a casual run, but I'm pretty sure randomizer players. They go in here and they're collecting kind of the stuff. Hyper wrist, handy. Breaking the game right now. What are you doing? Skipping? Getting these chests? You know too much. Yeah, well. Were these empty? Yeah. Okay. Ah, some cash. Right. Forgot about that. Is there another? No, I need the key. Don't have to get them all. All right, yeah. So can we get to the Vargas fight? Sure we can. Some heavy shields. I think that helps a lot. Mithril blade, he's got one. One regal. And go check out Shadow. For that sweet music. Mm-hmm. At the very least, you give me a response. Stand back. Seems vaguely familiar. Wait a minute. He owes allegiance to no one and will do anything for money. He comes and goes like the wind. That Shadow, he'd slit his mama's throat for a nickel. Better steer clear of him, I guess. Don't do it. Please. Sir. Blocking my way. Alright, I think we're ready. What's that smell? His favorite flowers, my man. His favorite tea. His favorite dishes. He was here, I'm sure of it. Yep. Why aren't I using auto crossbow? Silly me. Too late. This is absolutely a segment of the game. I mean, we're just at the beginning. But a segment of Final Fantasy 6 that Mount Cults really captured my imagination. Thought about it a lot. I had that tune in my head on many hikes. Out in Fundy National Park in Brunswick. Hills and Coast. Just having that tune with the sweet drums and the bass in the back. Boom, 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 boom. Yep. Yeah, well, whew. I mean, geez. Surprised myself. Being able to ramble on so long, talking about my book. Oh, it's good. You should just focus on Lola's adventure for now. Go. Guardian. It's a dagger, isn't it? Nice. Nice. Will I have the resources to get to the end? Not sure. One thing that I have done a bunch of is Final Fantasy VI randomizers, where I just go for Kefka and Urshi. Done plenty of those, plenty. I'm not doing one of those right now because I'm just, you know, kind of an autopilot for the chatting. And yeah, doing randomized is pretty wild. And of course, many times I've got stuck because of the stat roll on Sabin. Sabin's not really Sabin. When I first started doing them, I got Sabin as Realm, like with Sketch and Mage stats. So really, you know, not the ideal situation for fighting Vargas. And 3 times in a row. 3 times in a row. That's low odds, I think. Well, since I haven't had it happen again, so I guess that's good. Basically stopped me. I had to restart it and just like, I mean, if you got someone who's tough at least in one of those, you know, any fighter type, and of course if you have Sabin, you just do a blitz and it's all done. Have it. It's true that after that, right after those 3 in a row, I got a vanilla Sabin and just started laughing. Pummel away! Maybe one of my strategies here was Noise Blaster back in the day. We get outside and they all want to poison us. Then with the Noise Blaster and use auto attacks. Does it kill faster? No, but maybe we take less hits. It was something like that I used to do. The old strategies. Back before I really knew how to play RPGs, right? Before I was counting the stats. Watching my level. Doing a grind when I need to grind. There you go. There you go. It's 1 hit we saved. It's 1 less heal to do, right? Outwitting the game, right? This is just for a chest. I think it's worth it. And it was worth it. Oh yes. Forgot that was there. I think I bought a tent already, so we're set. But having 2. Ooh. Straight to the bio. Will that do it? Oops, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, those are poison type guys. Oops. That's starting to come back to me. I made like a little card game way back in the day. It was kind of like, it took some of the concept. I made like a little prototype with drawings, and one of my friends, Phil, helped me. He did some cards too, some spells and stuff, and it was kind of like how Pokemon works. If you know the Pokemon trading card game, like having your characters and energy, and needing to connect the energy to power up your moves. Otherwise, you're just stuck there taking a beating. And the idea was, there'd be like you playing characters, the heroes, and then there would be other, like, the adversaries wouldn't necessarily be played by an opponent. You could do it. You could do it kind of like an AI style. That was kind of what we were going for. So you could, you know, create your own thing, your own adventure with Locke, your fan fiction with them. Something like that, you know, just dream it up. And yeah, it definitely had, those brawlers were in there. Definitely had those brawlers in the mix. Don't really remember all the other ones, but yeah. Locke, Terra, of course. You know, it's basically, we had this whole segment. What we're playing today. So yeah, there was definitely Robites. I didn't make the Welk. I didn't make any bosses, sadly. But yeah, there were some neat ideas in there, that's for sure. And yeah, the Brawler. That's right. And I'm sure he was poison type, because I'd noticed that. I'd made that error. Made that error before many times. We're a little bit stronger. I think we can do it. Hope we've got enough tonics. Use all those potions. Fighting the captain or whatever. Ooh. Maybe we should have put them in the back. It's another strategy. Edgar in the back with the auto crossbow. Actually, that's a handy way to go. Yeah, so another ambition for my book, yes. Kind of like a bonus. Not one of the main goals, but a bonus. One thing that I thought part of why I wanted each chapter to be its own, have its own narrative arc. Because that's what it is. It's its own story. It can stand on its own legs, just each chapter. That was one of my ambitions, one of the things I tried to do. And then as a bonus to say, okay, could it be its own RPG? Its own full? To look back and say, yeah. I'm not writing these stories to go into every single detail and go deep into every second. Every waking minute. No, that wasn't the goal. Try Noise Blaster. Ooh, that hurts. Yeah. Didn't want it to be every waking minute. I wanted there to, to be the sense that there's a much bigger scope than what we talked about. You don't get all the details. There's room for the reader to have their own ideas, and there's room for another person to tell the story, to tell it another way, to tell it from a new perspective. And to have enough is there enough in there? Could it be possible? I mean, I'm not talking like these massive, but like a 20-hour RPG. Is there a 20-hour RPG in each of these chapters? Well, it's kind of the hope, actually. But only as a bonus. It wasn't like I was specifically going for that as the main thing. But ooh, get him on it. Yes! Noise Blaster! Who uses Noise Blaster? Crazy guy like me. It's that 4 target situation, right? That's the one. Try to get the odds on your side with the Noise Blaster. Here it is, moment of truth. This is it. As the stream comes to the epic conclusion with our duel against Vargas, and of course climbing down the mountain, saving the game. Because wouldn't that be nice? Can we do it? I believe. Sabin sent you, right? Who are you? Sabin? Is he here? You were shadowing us earlier, right? Brilliant. And how unlucky it is that you've run into me. And he's got his bears. I think we got that last level. Because the bears, they hurt. So far, so good. Moment of truth. Bio him? I forget. Potion. Love that animation. Oh my goodness. I don't think he got poisoned. There's no steel. Not even gonna joke around with Noise Blaster here. No, I think we're good. But I've had times where just kept getting poisoned and poisoned and poisoned. Oh my goodness. And then couldn't get it. Couldn't even get to Vargas. Huh? Yeah, okay. Drop some frames there, I think. Vargas, why'd you do it? How could you do your own father in like that? Fool! He made the mistake of choosing you as his successor. He snubbed me. His only son. No! You were the one he chose. You're a liar. Our master wanted you to be a successor, not me. He appreciated your fine spirit. Enough of your lies. Now, have a taste of my superior technique. Mortal Attack Blizzard Fist! Ah, Sabin. The master taught you well. I guess there's no avoiding this. Fate made us train together. And fate will send you to your doom. Keep it vanilla with the pummel. Pop, pop, pop. Whoa! What the? He already taught you that? If only you hadn't been in such a rush for power. Sabin! Whew. Big brother? The brothers are reunited. Younger brother? At first glance I thought he was some bodybuilder who had strayed from his gym. Bodybuilder? I'll take that as a compliment. Anyway, brother, what are you doing here? We're on our way to the Sable Mountains. The Returner hideout, no doubt. Mm-hmm. I've been watching from afar, hoping that the world might regain some sanity. At this rate, Figaro will be reduced to a puppet state. Our time to strike back has arrived. The Empire is going to pay for what it has done. Think a bear like me could help in your fight? You'd join us? Sabin? I think Duncan would rest easier if he knew his disciple played a part in bringing peace to the world. Let's get going. Yes, let's. And now we've got a veritable goon squad with all the stuff you can do. Once you got these four, oh my goodness. Well, there you go. There's the poison. I'm glad we didn't get poisoned before Vargas, because that can be bad news. When you're out of antidote, you know, out of antidote, like in Viridian Forest, from all the Kakuna. Obviously, if you're playing Pokemon Red, that's a really big deal. If you're playing Pokemon Blue, not so much. Kind of trivial, really. Ooh, good one. Oh my goodness. A back attack Tusker just as we're leaving. Mount Cults. Charging in at us. On all fours. Head lashing from left to right. Up and down. But it's okay. We've got enough strength to take it out. And that, my friends, shall bring this pizza party to a conclusion. Oh my goodness. It has been quite a pleasure, quite a fun experiment. And for anyone who made the journey with me, or at any point caught a piece of it, thank you. And I wish you all peace and love. Keep busting moves. Keep doing your thing. Take care of each other. And don't know when we'll see each other again, but I look forward to it. Toodles.